It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
So my friends, let me ask you a question. You have a business and you have $225 million that has to be managed. $225 million that has to be managed. In our area, it's called the Hazleton Area School District. Their budget is $225 million. You pay for that. You pay for that through your taxes. And what you want to make sure is that whoever is directing that $225 million have the experience needed to protect my investment. I remember years ago, this is a very true story, sad story. I used to go bowling with my wife and friends of mine once a week. And I walked in the bowling alley and there was this gentleman who was a veteran, retired veteran. I don't want to mention his name, he was well known. And he was crying. In the corner, he was crying. I went and said, "What's wrong?" He said, "You're never going to believe it. I had to sell my furniture today to pay my school taxes." So that's how important it is to have people in directing your money who know what's going on. Today, I'm very happy to have on the show Jim Chapman, Ellen McBride, and Joe Barletta. Combined, they have probably 1,000 years of experience. But they made an investment to come on to talk to you and tell you what's happening in the school district. No stranger to education. Ellen's been a nurse for 32 years and she was a supervisor. Jim has been around for 40 years in the school district, and of course, Joe Barletta, 47 years. In education, we're not talking about investing your money in medical, agriculture, whatever. We're talking about education. So let me start with Ellen, because you are the current president of the school board. God bless you. I know what it was like. I was chairman of the school, Luzerne County trustees for many years. And it's a challenge. And yet I was fortunate, Ellen, to have great people on the board with me who were creative and agreed to disagree in a professional manner, okay? We have some concerns in our district. You hear all these kind of rumors, et cetera, et cetera. You guys lived it. Okay, you lived it. All right, so let me start, Ellen. What do you think is the most important thing that we have to face in our school district today? I know there's a list, but
Yes,
give me your most important.
there is. Right now, the most important is we have a number of students coming from out of state, out of country all the time. I mean, they register every single day, and overcrowding has become an issue. We have made a little bit of progress in it, but we have to look to the future to make a lot more. There are 13,000 students now in the Hazleton Area School District, and that's higher than it's ever been.
How do you address that? What do you think you would want to do?
Well, we redid 3 buildings: the academy, the arts and humanities, and the cyber school, and all of them are flourishing. They're doing very well, but now we got to look to possibly building school because our elementaries are overcrowded. If you live in the Heights and you are supposed to go to Heights Terrace, if those classes close, you're being bused maybe to Freeland or someplace, and it's just not fair. So we need to come up with a plan. Whether it's going to involve middle school, a new middle school, whether it's going to involve a new elementary, we're in the process of investigating every option, and we need to start it soon because students just keep coming.
Is there any plans now in the working, preliminary plans that the school board and the administration is looking at?
We have looked at several sites. We have talked to builders, and some areas become swampy areas, some areas would not fit a school. So yes, we're in the middle of doing all of that, and we're moving along pretty well. We're having meetings every couple of weeks to just get this started. We have to get it started.
Jim, being in education, for 30-some years, 40 years, you were 4 years on the school board, so you saw both sides, okay? What are your concerns?
Well, obviously, that's a #1 concern for me, too, with the overcrowding. And Ellen kind of mentioned most of the things I would have mentioned, but one thing I'll add on to there is, or piggyback off, is when she said about kids that during the course of the school year, we get registrations all the time, almost every day. Even back when I was the principal in McAdoo, that happened. So what happens, as she said, is when certain classrooms fill up, maybe at Arthur Street, maybe at the Castle, somewhere else, they can't put any more students in that particular class, they bus them to another building. And that happened with us way back 11 years ago when I was in McAdoo. So you might start the school year out in a kindergarten class or a first or second grade class with 19 or 20 students, which is great. Because back then the max, I think, was 25 before you had to create another class. But what happens is we start out with that, and as kids keep coming from other buildings, because there's no room in those buildings, you start out with 19 or 20 students, you end up with 28 or 29 in that class. And then you're looking for classroom space to split that class. But guess what? In most buildings, if not all of them now, there's no extra classroom space. So that leads to, what do? Short-term solution to that, which I did back then, we actually were able to hire a second teacher, and what we did, we put that second teacher in the one class that was overcrowded, and for the rest of that year, which is why I say short-term, for the rest of that year, they co-taught together. They split the class in half. We actually did that one time. And I'm not saying they do that nowadays. I don't know if they do or they don't, or if they'd even consider it. But that was one way of solving that problem, at least temporarily. And then, of course, after that, you have to look at either adding on to an existing building eventually, or building a new building, as Ellen said. And the problem there sometimes is finding the right location to do that.
And all the politics that goes with it, build it here, build it there. Joe, you've been 47 years, and your reputation in Freeland has always been outstanding. I mean, I'm not just saying that because you're here, but they were facts. And your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts. First of all, I have goals. I always go into something with goals, and my goals. One is looking at our overcrowdedness in class size, but also student achievement. We need to move our students on level. And with the overcrowding in our classrooms, we are now looking at other programs. We have the interventionist program where like Jimmy said there, another teacher goes in and helps that teacher in small group instruction. Also, I think, and Sammy, you could attest to that because you came to it, I think I'd like to encourage more parent involvement. You used to come to Freeland in some of our parent involvement. The parents are part of this too. So I look at this team here. We're a team of experience. You stated that. A team of educational experience, okay? And our common denominator here is that we have parents, students, and teachers. That's our responsibility to them.
First of all, I taught in the Hazleton Area School District. And, they say there's an expression, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance, okay? And it's very important that we get the proper education because society suffers from that when you don't, okay. To me, you can't pay teachers enough for what they're going through right now, okay? I mean, everybody in the school district that I've seen so far, heard, and even the school board is, working to the best that they can. That's why I said we have a $225 million project here. We want to make sure I have people who are experienced in education, okay? The people that are running it, I mentioned, they're all nice people. There's nothing wrong with these people. But who's qualified to handle my money? Because if it goes wrong, I'm paying an extra $200, $300, $400 a year in school taxes. Joe, when you were teaching, all right, and you were the principal, what did you see internally that gave you the idea of that you want to run and make things better?
Well, as I said, it's the students, Sammy. That was my passion. The students come first, and you have to be efficient at what you do. And in our teaching, and you talk about, is that we have, I think, we have some of the best curriculum that we're giving to our students. Again, you talk about there's a lot of people running. It's very easy to identify or call out problems.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay? But it takes some people that could solve those problems.
That's the key, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're looking at 3 people here with the educational background to solve those problems.
And what did you see, Ellen?
As
In
far
your-
as why I wanted to go on,
Yeah.
I saw a lot of, I mean, being a nurse, you kind of saw everything, you know, because you weren't in a classroom, but you saw the kids come down and you met the parents, and I agree with him 100%. It's all about the students, and that's easy to say, but it is all about the students. And with the diversity of students that we have right now, we're trying to meet all of their needs, and some of them have goals that are very different than going into a normal educational school. So the arts and humanities came about, and those kids down there are loving it. They are getting their core courses, but they're also their interests are being taught to. Their art, their dance, all of that is coming out, and that makes them want to come to school. And then we have the academy that was the old WYLN building, and that now has turned in. I really wish people would go to these open houses, because that's amazing what they're offering the young and the special ed students up there. It's really, really amazing. And then you have our cyber school, and
Yeah.
that came.
It's like Joe says, those open houses, the public should be, the parents should
Right.
get involved.
They're
Jim,
coming
what-
up, and all of them you should go see what we're
Yeah.
doing.
And I'm going to talk a little bit more about parent involvement. Jim, when you were there as a teacher and as a principal, what did you see?
Well, really, again, going third here with that particular question, I echo what the 2 people here have said already, but I'm in it for the students too. And I just believe that my experience and knowledge, our experience and knowledge really, lends to that particular situation, being able to handle what's going to happen. Because some things that happen with the school board, it could be unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen at certain points. So I would be using my knowledge and my experience to try to help students to be successful, just like I did as a teacher and a principal, and also as a coach for 15 years. So that's basically it. I can't really add that much more because they already said it.
Today, when you look across the country, school boards are very important. They're establishing policies, in some cases policies that are not nice and not good. Okay, so now we're becoming much more aware, I think, of who's going on school boards, because they set the direction. As I said before, a school director should see that the school is properly run, not to run it. Unfortunately, sometimes some people who want to run for office want to get in there for their own personal gains, and this is what causes the problem, okay? And, you know, I said, these people that are running, they're very nice people. But I know I get people upset when I say this. Don't vote for Joe Barletta because you know the Barletta family. Don't vote for Jim Chapman because you know Jim. Don't vote for Ellen McBride because they're not. Vote for them because of the experience. I hate when they say, well, she comes from a big family, he comes from a big family, vote for my cousin, vote for my... You got $225 million that you're putting a person in charge of. You want to make sure you put people in there who understand the educational system. Am I right in saying that, Joe?
No, you're right. And you also have a team here that we're running positive. We're looking for the positive things. It's very easy to look for the negative things in anything. And you asked me before, as a principal, that you see the inner workings. We also have a very efficient and professional business office. They handle the money. And we have, like you said, we select good people to do it. We've put good people there to handle that.
Sammy, one thing if I could add.
Yeah, go ahead.
Also to mention our teachers and support staff
Yes.
in their everyday functioning as teachers. The success stories that people don't see that happen in every single classroom throughout the district. And they're very small a lot of times, but they're still success stories. Maybe a student with a learning disability at the beginning of the year is below grade level, but by the middle or end of the year they move up to grade level or even beyond. That's a success story in itself.
Yeah.
Student gets his first 100 on a test. That's a success story. And that happens throughout the district. And I don't think a lot of people see that, and certainly doesn't make the newspaper.
That's right.
And one thing I'd like to add is there's a teacher shortage. Everybody knows all across the country there's a teacher shortage, and we are experiencing that too, but we are holding on to our really good seasoned teachers, and there's got to be a reason, and the reason is they're so interested in the kids. And we've been very, very lucky with that.
And God bless them.
Exactly.
Because they're going
Every
through
day.
times now that we've never gone through. That's why I
Right.
said you couldn't pay me enough. The teachers we have are absolutely excellent. I have the highest praise for them, because we don't know if I had my cameras in the classes every day and recording what the teachers have to do, and they'd be amazed. Wouldn't you agree, Jim?
Absolutely.
The mental health issues alone that they're
My
facing
God,
every day.
yes, yeah.
Yes.
When I come back after break, I want to talk about safety. I want to talk about some of the things you hear and the whole bit, so we could ease the minds of people out there. My friends, the election is November 7th. I'm telling you, these candidates are all nice people. But who can run $225 million? Who has the direction? Who has the experience? The experience we're talking about. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Once again, thank you for making the Sam Lesante Show the #1 talk show in northeastern Pennsylvania. Taken from the scientific poll with Susquehanna Polling and Research, they were voted the #1 research company in the country. And also, we're happy to be media partners, you know, to the Standard Speaker and the Pottsville Republican. Election day is coming up. Turn to the paper, Standard Speaker, for your information. One of the most important things, I think, on the ballot, they're all important, but it's the school board. They're controlling $225 million. That's your money. That's what you pay when you get that school tax bill. Today we have Jim Chapman, Ellen McBride, and Joe Barletta, who are investing in this show to bring information to you as to why you should vote for them. We talk about so many students, so many people coming in. And currently, as the president of the school board, how safe is our school system?
I actually feel very good about our school system with the safety, because that was one of our priorities that we have worked on the past 4 years that I've been on. We have instituted the new locks on all of the doors that you can't get in unless you have the tag. Every door in the building, like if it's a classroom and that, you cannot go in. We've invested a lot of money on the fob. Is it the fob system? And now some of the schools have what they call a halo detector, so that when you walk through, it can pick up anything that is not supposed to be there. And we have put them in 2 schools so far, and our goal is to get them into every school. Because if a student walks in and you check their bag or something, you miss them, once they walk through there, nothing is, like, we went out and tested it at one of the factories, and or one of the plants, and they kept moving this pistol around all over the place, and they found it every time. I'm very proud to say that we have that in our schools now. And our safety can it be improved? Everything that comes up and all the things, the bomb scares and everything, yeah, we can improve it, and we will continue to improve it.
Jim, what would you be able to implement to bring the grades up, SATs and the tests that they take, because these are things that you hear that either we're below average or we're average or we're above average. You don't know what to believe, okay, in terms of the students' abilities.
Well, I believe that based on when I was a principal back then and on the board for 4 years after that, our teachers and staff do a good job already of trying to get our students to achieve and be successful and go from one point to another in a positive direction. I think a lot of times, I'm not sure what kind of testing they do nowadays. When I was there, what we dealt with was PSSA testing. And they did that, and it was a test that was given on grade level. So if you had a student, again, a learning disabled student, an ESL student or whatever, they all had to take the test, but they had to take it on grade level. And I never thought that was fair, because there's no way that those students could be or take that test and be successful, because they weren't on that grade level at the time. They were below that. Again, I'm not sure if they even give that particular test. I don't know if you know that.
Well, I do know that the PSSAs, that now the big thing is the Spanish-speaking students. If they're here less than a year, they can get a Spanish test. but it can't be in math. All the other testing, it will be in Spanish, but math will be in English. If they're here over a year, then they get the complete test in English. That, to me, is a handicap also.
And Sammy, I do know that teachers to this day probably are still, through the Act 80 days and in-service days, they're always being updated and learning about new techniques and new ways to try to achieve things with their students, too.
Joe, when it comes to management, I'm coming to your school there a number of times. You manage the teachers, okay, and you were on top of every thing that was going on in that school. And I always applaud you for that, because all the teachers respected you, okay? They may have not agreed with some of the policies that you had, but I think that's very critical as to working with people. Don't you feel that way, Joe?
Definitely. And good management, okay, you have to be visible and knowledgeable, Sam. And that's what you keep saying, the experience, knowledgeable on education, knowledge on how to handle situations. I also believe that, and Jimmy also I think my coaching experience, it will help me in this next phase of my life going on as a school director, because one thing a coach really emphasizes is being a team. And Joe Barletta will not just be one person on that board. I will be working with 8 other, and I want to work with them, because you get more things done as a team than you do with one.
Okay, stupid question. People say, well, you ask stupid questions all the time. Joe, it always fascinates me. First of all, I applaud anyone. You're retired, you worked hard, you have a great reputation. Why the hell do you want to be a school director?
Well, because I answered that before in a similar way, is then I will now be involved with, again, students. I'll be involved with teachers, and I'll be involved with parents. And I had success with that. So why would I not want to do it?
Jim?
Well, as I said in my one article that I wrote for the newspaper, I've been collaborating with people for 40 years. As a teacher, you collaborate with other teachers and the principal in the building, and with the parents and with the students. And then you go on to, and coaching, I was coaching too, I did the same thing there, collaboration with the players on our team as well as the head coach and so on. And then as a principal, it's nothing but collaboration. We used to meet with our teachers almost every morning. Not the entire school, not the entire school, all teachers, but you'd go to the classroom and you'd have grade level meetings and things like that. All of that is very important. And it has to do with collaboration, Sammy. That's the big thing.
Ellen?
I retired in 2017, and I took 2 years. I watched my grandchildren, and I just had this feeling I wasn't finished. I just wasn't finished. I enjoyed working in the district with the teachers, but with the kids. So I thought, let me try this and see if I can make a difference. And that's the only reason. It was very simple. I thought, I'm not done yet. Let me just try this. And I enjoy it, and it's a challenge.
In dealing with a lot of people, you know, you have to deal with state representatives, senators, because these are people that need to help us. And certainly, you know, Joe, you've all had experience, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's very important to keep that open line of communication.
You need an open relationship with our local congressman, our state senator, because they have a lot to do with our funding.
Absolutely.
And to have that great rapport and have them lobby for us, because I think our goal, and speaking with Ellen and the board, is that other school districts with the same demographics right now, Sam, are getting more money per student than we are in Luzerne County.
Interesting.
So again, working with our senator and our Congress, we as board members could possibly get more money into it.
It looks like when you're dealing with objectives, okay, you're looking at you need a team, and I understand that, because I could have never had accomplished building a community college if I didn't have a team with me on the trustees. Now, we had a couple board members that were all political, and we were able to just we didn't have time for that nonsense, okay. So, Jim, how important is it working with a team, working with McBride and Barletta?
It is important, very important, and that's why I'm running with these two individuals, because we have a lot in common. Now, having said that, if we, all three of us, I believe, hopefully we will get on the board at the end of, in the beginning of November and be elected, but we're not always going to agree with each other on every
Absolutely,
issue, but at least we know
Yes,
that we're going to get along, and if we have a different opinion, we can talk that out, and it doesn't matter if you always agree with
that's
me.
very healthy too,
Yeah, so.
very healthy.
And you mentioned about the being in contact with our state representative or state senator. We actually did that a couple times when I was on the board. We actually met with Tara Toohill at the time, and also Senator John Udicek, just to let them know what was going on with our district, and of course they could let us know how it was going in Harrisburg. So that also was very important.
Ellen, we got about a minute left. Anything you'd like to say?
I read the article that you have there in the newspaper this weekend, and there was some negativity. There was quite a bit of negativity from other people that are running, and I just don't feel that there's anything that the Hazleton Area School District has to be embarrassed about, negative about. I think that we are every day doing something more, and that's why I encourage people to get out to these buildings and see what we've done in the past 4 years and what we will continue to do. There's just a lot going on and a lot that we're improving on in this district, and I want people to know that.
Joseph?
Yeah, and getting back to one of my other goals, parent involvement.
Yeah, big time.
And Sammy used to come over to National Young Readers Day.
Yeah.
And Jimmy and I, when we were principals, we used to encourage each grade level to have a parent involvement activity.
Fabulous.
Okay, and bring.
Very important.
Yeah, like Dr. Seuss Day.
Yeah.
Are you smarter than the fifth grade?
Yeah.
These are the things so then the parents and the community could see what is going on, see it, not hear it.
That's right. Nothing like it, All I could say is that, I've been around for a long time. Over 6,000 shows I've done. Sitting in a lot of times I've interviewed a lot of people who are great, phonies, etc. This is a critical election. This is very critical to our area and the district, and nothing but, here again, all these people are fine, but I ask my viewers to look at the experience. We're talking about education. You're in education, not other fields. We're talking about education. Jim Chapman, Ellen McBride, Joe Barletta, running with a team for November 7th. It's a critical position, my friends. They're managing your money. Please look at qualifications. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.